it's important to recognise that Edinburgh was set up as the city's university in the 1550s. The links between the city and the university are indivisible, and in some senses they're both very similar in that they're both small enough to be personal but large enough to be internationally very significant. So come to Edinburgh and you acquire an internationally outstanding experience.
So I think the reason that Edinburgh is such a fantastic place to do research is the way that we have completely revisited our structure and philosophy over the last 20 years. We went from a fairly conventional medical school and veterinary school with dozens of tiny little departments, and we got rid of all the departments and developed a very interdisciplinary, interactive philosophy where we do our research in centres. The centres are large, perhaps 200 staff and postgraduate students, and they bring together, cheek by jowl at the bench, basic scientists and clinical scientists working together on a major theme of mutual interest. But in each case, we bring people from different backgrounds, be it veterinary research, clinical research, basic biomedical science, to work together. And that has added an enormous amount of value to the quality of the science we're able to produce. We've also allowed the basic scientists, through their clinical colleagues at the bench, access to human clinical material.
I'm a doctor by trade, and I've taken 2 years off to do some research. Ultimately, as a doctor, my aim is to improve patient care, and one of those ways is to come up with novel treatments for patients. Edinburgh is recognised throughout the UK as a great place for research, especially within the medical field. My role within this department, which is the Breakthrough Cancer Research Department, is to come up with new ways of identifying how patients will react to different drugs. What I'm currently doing is I'm taking small pieces of breast cancer tissue from patients when they're having their breast cancer removed, and I get the breast cancer to continue to grow. As the breast cancer continues to grow within this three-dimensional jelly, I can treat it with different drugs and see how that individual patient's tumour will react to a battery of different treatments. The benefit with this will be, the ideal goal will be for individually tailored patient treatment.
Two major human clinical campuses and an emerging major veterinary one, where the patients are seen in the same place as the fundamental science is going on, so that the two things which should be indivisible are actually functionally indivisible. But patients are seen in the same place as the fundamental research goes on. So the questions literally go from the bedside through to the laboratory bench and back to the bedside.
The College of Medicine and Veterinary Medicine is essentially divided into 4 schools, and that forms the administrative structure of the college. And within that structure then we have a number of research centres and institutes which form the research framework for the college. Well, the research in the college really follows a spectrum from basic biomedical research right through to translational medicine. And the research by its very nature is interdisciplinary, and that's really important for both taught programmes and for research programmes, because this provides the building blocks and the fundamental background for these postgraduate students to go on and make successful careers for themselves in the biomedical research field. We have a number of research programmes for postgraduate students, and those range from the Masters by Research, the Master of Philosophy, right through to Doctor of Philosophy. And very often students will go through the Masters by Research route first, just because they want to have the experience of research, see whether they want to do a PhD without having to commit to a 3-year programme, and it's a good training into that research environment.
My name is Linnea Anderson. I'm from California. I chose to come to the University of Edinburgh because of the particular program. I studied reproductive biology in undergrad and liked the idea of doing a master's in the subject. Also because it was a chance to study abroad at a very prestigious university. Yeah, we do 2 mini projects that are 10 weeks long. And so we do the research and then we write them up, and then we do the maxi project, which is 20 weeks long. For my second mini project and my maxi project, I use tissue that we get directly from the hospital. And I think working so closely with the clinical setting, you get into a translational mindset where you're not focused on one tiny little protein or one tiny little gene. You see the bigger picture and you have that in mind the whole time, which I think is really important to research.
I'm Natalie Royal and I'm from Manchester. I'm in the first year of my PhD and I'm working on brain imaging structural changes in ageing brains. Edinburgh's a fantastic city to live in. It's beautiful and it's very friendly, and the reputation of the university is very, very good. Working in a hospital has its benefits in as far as you're very immediately close to the people that you need to be, so radiographers and radiologists and specialists and things like that are in that area that you need access to. Also, you get to see a lot of how the actual images come to be in the scanner, and then the patients, and then we get them. We're not just separated in a little lab somewhere in an office, and we don't really have any idea of where they've come from originally, so it's quite nice. People collaborate a lot more, and so you get access to areas that you wouldn't, I think, in other universities.
I'm Sobia Raza. I'm from Manchester, but I moved to Edinburgh about 4 years ago to pursue my master's. And now I decided to stay on to do my PhD. I've published quite a few papers, two first author papers and the rest within a group. Two have been based on my modelling of my cell, and I've had the opportunity to present those papers at conferences, predominantly as poster presentations. There's lots of benefits to presenting, I guess, all throughout your academic career. If you choose to stay in academia, you'll have to present. And also presenting to people from lots of different disciplines, so trying to explain your ideas in a less specific manner is quite important as well.
My name's Beck and I'm from Hobart in Australia. I'm studying the Master of Science in Public Health Research, and I'm doing my dissertation in genetic risk factors for multiple sclerosis in Orkney and Shetland. I did a Bachelor of Arts majoring in history and psychology, and then I did a PhD in medical history looking at smallpox vaccination in 19th century Eastern Australia. After I finished my PhD, I decided that history was a bit too lonely for me and that I'd like to be an epidemiologist. So I worked for a couple of years in a medical research institute, but to progress further I needed formal qualifications and training in more quantitative methods. So the Masters for me is really a conversion course, helping me to go further in the career that I've chosen to follow. But I was really excited about studying in Scotland, both because the University of Edinburgh has a marvellous reputation and an excellent program, but also because of the lifestyle. I'm really into outdoor activities and I really like climbing and walking and kayaking and all the wonderful things that Scotland has to offer. Well, I'm hoping that my training in the quantitative parts of epidemiology will add to the more qualitative stuff that I did in history, and that I'll be able to move into a research assistant position and then build up and work through academia and become a proper grown-up epidemiologist researcher.
Our whole ethos is to cooperate, to interact and to collaborate. And that not only allows fantastic training for a student, but stands the student philosophically in good stead for a career in science where, I'm afraid, holding on tightly to your own work and not talking to your colleagues really doesn't work. Sciences are now a global undertaking. Sure, we compete, but we at least as much, indeed more, collaborate and interact. And it's those sorts of skills that are taught right up front. So the atmosphere is strong, the outcomes are fantastic, and the staff are highly supportive. And of course, the quality of the research is second to none in the whole of Europe.
So if you're interested in translating research into patient benefit, whether the patients are humans or animals, Edinburgh is the place to be.